better life, and like it's life plus, and you know, the end game ideal setup, you just get a bunch of energy shield on your gear because it's just it's life but more, and you scale it on the tree. No real issue. That's just the way it is. That's just part of the gearing process to me, if that's how it is. I have an issue that you cannot feasibly play an energy shield build unless you are an int aligned class, because you won't be able to put the bases on, because you need your main stat associated with your skills to equip them, but you also need int for the bases you want to wear. And also, to a lesser degree, I have an issue that, well, not to a lesser degree, energy shield percent just should not be on the tree, at least in these quantities. It is, you can get the same amount of percent increased energy shield as you can percent armor, except having 20k armor does not save you against anything in the game. Having 20k ES makes you immortal. Like, until there's parity between the defensive styles, it is like a absolute insane thing that percent ES is on the tree in these values when life isn't. Like, it's honestly like, I hate to be armchair dev guy, but this is like first grade shit, you know? This is like baby's first video game balancing. I don't know how you fuck up with like such simple concepts that you can get like so much more percent increased ES on this tree compared to the PoE1 tree. And that's like after realizing that the PoE1 tree has percent life on it to directly compete with energy shield. This is a tree that is more favorable to ES than the PoE1 tree, but with literally no like predator to keep it in bay. I don't. In ES is already better than life in PoE1 for like most builds. Not most builds, but like most top builds. So I don't understand. I said it a couple streams ago. I don't understand how you can have like the correct revelation that, you know, getting rid of percent life on the tree is a good thing for the game, because it just makes it so you can have a more interesting tree that isn't like absolutely controlled by the presence of life, but then in not have the follow-up thought that ES is the exact same thing. It's honestly mind-blowing. I'm not feeling super stoked about this build. I think it would undeniably be good. I think it would be like an immortal, just like boss destroyer, to be like a bow dude using cast on shock to completely obliterate any boss. Like, consider this, right? The cast on shock bow build that people are playing has none of these energy gain passives. This guy has 16, 31, 55, 55% increased energy gain, and then the quarter chance to refund half the energy, which is... What is refunding half the same as? Refunding half is double energy, right? So it's a 25% chance for doubling your energy? No. I'm assuming refund is refund all. It's a 25% chance for 50% energy. Yeah, you fill it up once, you get another half. Okay, so it's 55% increased energy, and then a 12.5% more energy, on top of Monk getting 35% more energy. So, and these use, what is the one energy thing? It's infusion? No, it's, what is it called? It's 40% more energy, right? Impetus? Yeah, 40% increased energy. So, assuming you'd use that, you'd be at 1.95 energy gain. So, Monk gains energy at 2.96 times the rate, whereas Deadeye gains it at 1.4 times the normal rate. Monk would literally do double the single target damage. Well, this is assuming... I guess I'm making an assumption here that I don't know is true. I don't know how much of the lightning rods go unconsumed, right? Because getting more energy would only be important if you weren't fully consuming your lightning rods, because your lightning rods scale with attack speed, not any of the energy gain stats. So maybe it doesn't matter? Eventually? Oh. It'd be something you'd have to play. I don't... Without knowing how often ball lightning hits, I don't know that. I can figure it out. Let's think. How does stun shock work? It's 2 per power, right? So you get 40 energy. Ball lightning's a 1 second cast time, so you need 100 energy. Oh, this is increased energy gain on it too, so I'm already off on the numbers. The question is, 1 ball lightning, like triggering a ball lightning sets off the orb of storm 1 time, right? And I don't know how additional projectiles interact with that, though. This is the problem. But let's pretend that every 1 trigger of Cast on Shock, we trigger 1 ball lightning. And Orb of Storms proceeds at its natural proc rate, which is it's every 2.55 seconds. It only lasts 10 seconds. Do you put increased duration on it, or things called? I guess so. Okay, here's the thing though. The ball lightning setup people are using has deceleration on it. And why would you put deceleration on it if you only cared about the initial spawn? Like, the ball lightning's not doing any damage. Why do you care about it hitting more? Unless the ball lightning triggers the lightning rods as it moves past them. You wouldn't. Unless, like, it's just to get more chances to shock. But, like, it's not going to do any damage. I don't know. I think we've reached the end of, where theory can take us. Maybe this monk shit doesn't matter. Like, if ball lightning is hitting the lightning rods and proccing them, and Orb of Storms is proccing off of the spawns of the ball lightnings, and itself also just hitting every 2.5 seconds, I think it is. Two and a half seconds is pretty slow. It's gonna hit every one you have down with the chain so much. I find it hard to believe that you could proc all of your lightning rods in time. So you have to hit them 14 times. You have to hit every arrow 14 times in the 12 seconds. So you have to do it once per second for every arrow. And you're spawning 5 arrows. You've got Scattershot, Deadeye, and one from your bow. You've got 5 arrows every time you fire your bow. You need to come up with 14 hits that chain plus 4 times. Which Orb of Storms would account for. Naturally, it would account for 4, maybe 5 of those hits. So all lightning would need to be responsible for 9. Could you really spawn? Could you really cast on shock 9 times in 12 seconds? Talking energy gain, you get 40 per shock, and then you need 150% energy gain to proc ball lightning every time you shock, which if you assume that's every hit. So every time you spawn the ball lightning, that's another ball lightning. Every time you proc cast on shock, that's a 1 more ball lightning, so it's a 1 more lightning rod effect you proc. What's the point? Well, here's the other thing. let me read Western Shock. 2 energy per power of enemies you shock with hits. Uniques are always 20 power. There's no reason going over 100 energy, right? Unless it overflows, but I don't think it does. Because every time I see people play with Cast on X, they go from like 99 to 0. I never see it roll over. So there's no use for Monk having all of this. Like, once you get to 150% energy gain, that's too much. So we've got 57 plus 15 plus 40 from the gem. That's 112. The most energy you could possibly handle. Well, I mean, this is... There is value here. Because I think Deadeye can only proc every other use, whereas Monk could proc every use. But is proccing every use really that much better? It depends what the ball lightning does. If spawning the ball lightning only generates 1 additional chain, then I don't think it matters. You're only doing 1 extra chain per cast. But if the ball lightning's electricity procs the lightning rods naturally, then that's like huge value, because I don't think you're using up all of the lightning rods. There's no way. It doesn't make sense that you do. You just need to Google Orb of Storm's lightning rod. Lightning rod plus ball lightning interaction is amazing. Ball lightning triggers lightning rod an absurd amount of times. Currently running a lightning rod cast on Chalk. So the ball lightning literally does proc lightning rod. Yeah. I think the change to this is going to be they're going to make it so ball lightning doesn't proc lightning rod. Yeah. The question is if getting cast on Shock to proc every hit versus every other hit leads to an appreciable increase in lightning rod hits. And depending on how ball lightning works, which, like, I don't think... Where ball lightning... Oh... It's enemies in range every 0.2 seconds. But does it hit all of them? This doesn't even have the chaining tag. I don't know. Gotta see it in game. Jesus. Yeah, that was like loud as fuck. I can't tell from these videos. The graphics are like so hard to see. I think Monk probably does not lead to an appreciable increase in lightning rod procs. I think you're probably overflowing with a single ball lightning. So I don't know that any of this matters. The good news, though, is that that's free passive points back. The bad news is that that was like most of the advantage I think Monk offered here. 12 times 1.25. Actually, Monk doesn't need the extra energy. This would only be for like non-bosses, and I don't think that content matters. I'm gonna be up here anyway, but he's out. Consider pathing up through there. Those are already pretty good, but not in the context of those nodes. Free mana regen? Why not? Oh. Sir? Did I click the... Oh, I'm fucking capped on points again. Hate that shit. Where are these, Oh. This tree looks a lot uglier now, huh? Oops. Ooh, I don't know if I like these nodes. I mean, I like this node. I like this node. I don't really like the other nodes. Just go over here. Oh, this tree's so fucking dumb. This tree is filthy. There's no other way to describe it. This is stupid. Why? There's no way any sane person plays this. What do the, like, huge ES builds play? Like, are they all minion builds? Is any other, like, archetype in the game able to, like, really play on the huge ES and still do damage? Because the problem with the caster builds is, like, it seems like you need to be Archmage. If you're not Archmage, I don't know that you deal damage. But maybe that doesn't matter when you have 20k ES? Mage works with CI? I mean, I know they work. I guess I just assumed that you wouldn't want to scale ES and mana on the same build because they're kind of like competing with each other. But I guess there's nothing stopping you. Like, it just made more sense to me. Like, if you're Archmage, you go Mom. I wouldn't think you'd be able to get, like... I wouldn't think you'd be able to scale mana and scale ES enough that you come out ahead of just Archmage Mom, but maybe I'm underestimating how stupid ES is. Like,